Okay, I'm live on Twitch. Come on, YouTube. There we go. Okay, we're live on YouTube. Sorry, I have no idea. I unplugged something and then TikTok Studio just shut down, but I could not stop Twitch and YouTube from being live, so no idea what just happened. There we go. Yes. Okay, we're okay now. Sorry, I think YouTube and Twitch have been watching random people playing video games on TikTok. Sorry for that. I have no idea. I could not shut it off. It was like everything froze. I had to literally unplug and there. Hi. Okay, Leah. Great. Okay. Everything's fine now. I have no idea what just happened or why it happened. That's the craziest thing ever. Sorry. I thought that probably should have just restarted the live. Okay, we're good. Now, I was gonna play a video from Mr. Global before every single thing froze. Wait, what is happening? Okay, there. Better? I think we're good. I don't know. I think a lot of things were messed up, but I'll figure it out at a later time. At least, okay. I was gonna play this if you're just joining. Well, I'm gonna give it 2 more seconds. Let's tap the screen share live. Sorry, I had a my computer just melted down in every way possible. Everything froze. I'm just back on YouTube. Yeah, definitely Twitch. We're live on Twitch. Sorry. I'm sorry to everyone that was forced to watch random people gaming on TikTok. I could not shut off my own live. Yeah, okay, we're good. Okay, cool. I want to show if before all of that nightmare happened when I was trying to figure out why I couldn't cast my iPad. I think everything is fine now. Yeah. And I want to play this video from Mr. Global that he made about this conspiracy like cover up. Well, let me just read it. Tulsi Gabbard's claim is Obama suppressed that info, and then Mr. Global made a video similar to what I was reading right before my live froze and everything went to shit. Trashes Tulsi's effort to distract from Trump's Epstein cover up. And he actually has the clip. I was going to play the clip, but then I found this clip where he's playing it. So saying he's making Tulsi look like a moron and Bondi will be stuck again when no arrests come. Yeah. Either this is like 5D chess, which nothing MAGA ever does is, or Pam Bondi to get over again. Wait, let me make sure this is muted.
The kind of tampering with the voting process that was of concern and will continue to be of concern going forward, that the votes that were cast were counted. They were counted appropriately. We have not seen evidence of machines being tampered with. So that assurance I can provide.
That is Barack Obama's December of 2016 press conference where he publicly states that Russia was not successful in hacking voting machines, basically. Understand that Tulsi Gabbard's claim is that the Obama administration suppressed that information right there and didn't tell us about it. That's her claim. That's the whole case. The assessment suppressed previous pre-election assessments that Russia lacked the intent or means to successfully hack the poll, Gabbard's report alleges. And this is why you don't see a bunch of big-time, like senators, Republican senators, talking about this right now. Hashtag holy fucking airball. As soon as that came out from Tulsi Gabbard, I guarantee you probably a dozen Republican senators called the Trump office and said, "What in the hell did you just do, you moron?" And Tulsi Gabbard is all alone right now. Certainly not the first person in a Trump administration to do something at the request of Donald Trump and then look like a moron when she did it. So she's going to be alone. And what is Pam Bondi going to do? Like, first, they made her look stupid by making her come out and say there's no Epstein list. Now she has to come up with some ridiculous lie about why Barack Obama is not going to be charged. What's she going to do? And I want to remind Republicans of this one thing. While y'all have been waiting for 10 years for some Democratic politician to be charged and jailed for something because that's what Donald Trump has been promising you for the last 10 years, and you sit there waiting for it to happen, and you still think it's going to happen, the only person that's been charged and convicted of crimes in the last 10 years is Donald Trump himself. Oh, and
I mean, true story. And that's the point, is Tulsi Gabbard is now set up without providing any evidence, which there is a bipartisan Senate Judiciary Report. I just think that's the most important thing to know, is that Republicans and Democrats investigated this and agreed in a 800-page bipartisan report. You know, a lot of things, but the main thing is no one ever said Russia hacked voting machines. They said they weren't able to. Specifically, that's what they said, that Russia wasn't able to hack voting machines, but if interfered in the election in different ways. That is the point of all of this. And I want to show one of the people who led the committee, I guess I should say, that's more accurate, that authored this report is Jim Hines, the Democrat from Connecticut. And he was talking to Margaret Brennan yesterday about this.
Just statement of fact here. A bipartisan Senate Intelligence Committee investigation found that the U.S. intelligence community's assessment of Russian interference in the 2016 election was correct. They deemed it to be so on a bipartisan basis. I'm saying that because today and yesterday, the director of the intelligence community, Tulsi Gabbard, has said that she is referring for prosecution former American officials she accused of treasonous conspiracy, a years-long coup against President Trump, because they assessed Russia had tried to influence the election. This is weeks after the CIA director issued a report critiquing the tradecraft that went into that 2016 assessment. Is there any legal basis for any kind of prosecution here?
None. Absolutely none, Margaret. What you saw from the Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, was not just a lie, but a very dangerous lie, because when you start throwing around language like sedition and treason, somebody's going to get hurt. Now, you pointed out that the Senate committee, then led by Marco Rubio, a Republican and now Secretary of State, found unanimously that Russia meddled in the election to try to assist Donald Trump. John Durham, special counsel appointed by Donald Trump, investigated this, found that the Senate report was correct. Now, what Tulsi is doing, it's a little sleight of hand, but it's worth focusing on. She is saying that the Intelligence Committee early on said that the Russians could not use cyber tools to mess with the voting infrastructure, the machines that tally our votes. And that was true then, and it is true now. Though the Russians tried to break into a couple of states, election technical infrastructure, they didn't do it. But it is well known and well established that the Russians hacked into the DNC and undertook any number of other influence operations, including buying reams of Facebook ads to discredit Hillary Clinton. That is not in contention, right? And what is horrifying about this whole lie out of Gabbard is, number one, it puts people at risk. And right now, the mouth breathers on MAGA online are just going out of their minds based on it.
Imagine a senator is just saying it, like calling MAGA mouth breathers. This, even for Jim Hines, I was like, damn, this is where we're at.
What's horrifying about this whole lie out of Gabbard is, number one, it puts people at risk. And right now, the mouth breathers on MAGA online are just going out of their minds based on a lie. And number two, the intelligence community is full of very, very good people who do their jobs every single day. And now they're watching their leader do something that each and every one of them knows is dishonest. And it is a really, really bad thing for the safety and security of the American people when that dynamic is out there.
And you don't have to be in the intelligence community to know that. I just want to be clear. You just have to be able to read. Like, that's it. If you read the bipartisan Senate Judiciary Report, if you have read the Mueller report, you know that she's obfuscating on purpose and blatantly lying in other parts for Trump. I don't think she's doing this for no reason. I think Trump asked her to do it and she's just like, okay, I'm going to do it. But it's pretty shitty thing to do because, I mean, here, and let me just think before I'm going to play parts of I'm going to play the interview where she says all this stuff yesterday morning to Maria Bartiromo, which again, none of this is true. And she's basically just setting up Pam Bondi for failure because if you can read and she knows none of this is true and she's just like, hey, like, oh, I'm just saying this out loud. I'm not providing any evidence contrary to the bipartisan Senate Judiciary report, contrary to the Mueller report. I'm just saying Pam Bondi can look through whatever I think I have and then she can decide. And then she names again, quote unquote, whistleblowers. Yeah.
What was the most damning thing that you learned after looking through all of these declassified documents?
Maria, the implications of this are frankly nothing short of historic. Over 100 documents that we released on Friday really detail and provide evidence of how this treasonous conspiracy was directed by President Obama just weeks before he was due to leave office, after President Trump had already gotten elected. This is not a Democrat or Republican issue. This is an issue that is so serious it should concern every single American because it has to do with the integrity of our democratic republic. What we saw occur here, as the documents we released detailed, was that we had a sitting president of the United States and his cabinet and leadership team, quite frankly, who were not happy with the fact that President Trump had won the election, that the American people had chosen Donald J. Trump to be the next president commander-in-chief of the United States. And so they decided that they would do everything possible to try to undermine his ability to do what voters tasked President Trump to do. So creating this piece of manufactured intelligence that claims that Russia had helped Donald Trump get elected contradicted.
Just want to be clear, like, if you know anything about the Mueller report, if you know anything about the years in which, and I just mean the timeline, like when Obama was done being president in 2012, right? Every single report that she's saying was manufactured under Trump. Like, that's what's most confusing about this is what she's talking about. And I've read the Mueller report. Like, nothing she's saying makes any sense.
Every other assessment that had been made previously in the months leading up to the election that said exactly the opposite, that Russia had neither the intent nor the capability to try to, quote unquote, hack the United States election for the presidency of the United States. So,
okay, good. That's the point, right? No one, and to my knowledge, because I've read the Mueller report and I've read the bipartisan Senate Judiciary report, no one's ever accused them of hacking voting machines, to my knowledge. I've never read that. As a matter of fact, those reports say the exact opposite. And that's what the clip that Mr. Global was playing says. Like, it's the press conference where Obama says, no, they did not hack any voting machines. So I think that is, I mean, and I don't want it to be this simple. Like, I'm like, God, I really hope they have more information than this or there's something else. But as far as I can see now, there isn't. She is lying, or I guess maybe obfuscating is a better word. I don't know. Or pretending that Obama said something that he's very much on record at every turn saying the opposite of, that the Senate Judiciary report said the opposite of, that the Mueller report said the opposite of, right? I mean, the Mueller report was about an investigation into links between the Trump campaign and Russia. Right? It has nothing to do with voting machines. The Senate Judiciary report was about Russian interference in the 2016 election. There's a separate CIA report confirming Russian interference into the 2016 election. None of these reports say anything or have ever accused Russia of being capable of hacking voting machines. As a matter of fact, that is why Dominion got the 780 whatever million dollars from Fox, because their voting machines have never been hacked. That's why. Because Trump implied, remember, Trump's camp implied that, does anyone, this is the craziest part about this whole thing, is that it was Trump's camp who was like, this is why we need paper ballots. You can't trust the voting machines. The voting machines have been hacked. But if you can read, which no one can in MAGA, the reports say the opposite. This is not about the voting machines. The voting machines were not hacked. That is why Dominion got money. That's why Smartmatic is going to get a shitload of money. That's why. Because the voting machines were not hacked. And now this weirdo is just lying for Trump and implying that Obama said voting machines were hacked, which he is on record at every turn saying the opposite. This is about Russian interference in elections with everything but voting machines. That's the point. That's what the reports are about. Like all the indictments in the Trump campaign for ties to Russia, Paul Manafort, all that shit. It's not about voting machines. Trump is the one that said voting machines had been hacked. And now they're saying the opposite. It's really weird. And I think, oh no, none of this is true. That's the fascinating thing. I'm sure of it. I've read the Mueller report. I know what it says, which also wasn't Obama. That's the other confusing thing, right? Like, yeah, none of this makes any sense. Except for I think Trump wants to arrest Obama. Like he has some weird, like wet dream about arresting Obama. But if any of this makes sense to you, if you think any of I can't say enough. I've debated MAGA. There are MAGA people on TikTok who've read the Mueller report and would never think this makes any sense. I've met them and I've talked to them about it. If you've done the research, if you understand this period of time, the last person that has anything to do with any of this is Obama. That's the ultimate irony of all of it. What the does this have to do with Obama?
The effect of what President Obama and his senior national security team did was subvert the will of the American people, undermining our democratic republic, and enacting what would be essentially a years-long coup against President Trump, who was duly elected by the American people.
Here's the thing. Russia interfered in the 2016 election and every single election after that, including the last one, the 2024 election. We have indisputable proof of it. There were indictments that went out under Merrick Garland in the last presidential election for Russia's interference in our election. They've interfered in them all. Now, none of that interference had to do with voting machines. Right? So I think it's really simple. This is just all a super distraction for idiots that can't read. If you can read and you have any idea what's been going on, has Russia interfered in every U.S. election since 2016 and before? Let's be real. And before. Yes. Has that ever had to do with voting machines? No. It's that simple. That's it. I don't know. Outside of that, what she could be talking about.
Now, I know that Devin Nunes came out with the Nunes report and a lot of other reports after that to indicate everything that you're saying. And I guess the worst of the reports, the real evidence, is the reports of most recent, right? The last reports are the worst reports that we're going to see. And I understand that there is more, perhaps, that you are going to come out with next week. And I was told that that's why they raided Mar-a-Lago, that they wanted to find the Trump-Russia documents that indicated there was absolutely no collusion and that there was no evidence to even start such an investigation. But Trump didn't have it there in Mar-a-Lago, but that's why they raided his house in 2022. Is that correct?
No. I mean, I could tell you, I've read all the documents. No.
Don't have the details on the specifics of the Mar-a-Lago.
Yeah, that means no. What the are you talking about, Maria?
Mar-a-Lago raid itself. Those are within the possession of the FBI. But there's no question in my mind that this intelligence community assessment that President Obama ordered be published, which contained a manufactured intelligence document. It's worse than even politicization of intelligence. It was manufactured intelligence that sought to achieve President Obama and his team's objective, which was undermining President Trump's.
I feel like, is she talking about the Steele dossier? Like, I don't know what she could be talking about outside of the Steele dossier, which is, again, Oppo research, which anybody whose brain works knows that the Steele dossier is opposition research. It's not fact. You're not paying for facts to be generating. You're saying, hey, I'm in an election period and I need to know, like, what anyone could say about either me or my opponent. I need to know what's out there in the ether. So if she's talking about the Steele dossier, that's idiocy. Because if you've ever read, some's true, some's not. Like what I should say, what's better to say, because actually that's incorrect to say. Some is substantiated and some is not. That's what opposition research is. It's not saying, hey, can you give me a list of true things? It's saying, hey, if I'm going to run in an election, I want to know every single thing that could be said out there. Period. What is floating out in the ether, in the intelligence community, period.
And subverting the will of the American people. So yes, next week we will be releasing more detailed information about how exactly this took place and the extent to which this information was sought to be hidden from the American people, hidden from officials who would be in a position to do something about it. And that's really the point here that I think is most important, Maria, and you said it in your opening. Accountability is essential for the future of our country, for the American people to have any sense of trust in the integrity of our democratic republic. Accountability, action, prosecution, indictments for those who are responsible for trying to steal our democracy is essential for us to make sure that this never happens to our country again.
And I've read all of these documents in question, and the only person that ever tried to do a coup and the Supreme Court said under executive power is not covered was Trump in the fake elector scheme. But you'd have to read everything to understand that, right? And I mean, even under the John Roberts Supreme Court saying presidents are kings who can't be prosecuted, they can do whatever, they can unalive people, they can obfuscate, they can lie, nothing, they can't be held accountable for anything except that fake elector scheme. So yeah, I have done the reading. What is that? Thank you for the gift. And that's the only thing I know of that someone needs to be held accountable for. This is fascinating to watch her. Like, Tulsi Gabbard.
That right
no
now,
spine.
because I've heard talk of a criminal referral. Are you referring this in a criminal matter?
We are referring all of the documents that we have uncovered to the Department of Justice and the FBI for a criminal referral.
Yeah. And do you believe that we will see prosecutions? I mean, our audience wants to know where this story goes from here. Will we ever see anyone held accountable for this incredible lie on the American people?
I will do all that I can, and we have whistleblowers, actually, Maria, coming forward now after we release these documents, because there are people who were around, who were working within the intelligence community at this time, who were so disgusted by what happened. We're starting to see some of them come out of the woodwork here because they too, like you and I and the American people, want to see justice delivered. So we're going to provide everything that we have, everything that we will continue to gather to the Department of Justice for that direct intent and that direct purpose. There must be indictments. Those responsible, no matter how powerful they are and were at that time, no matter who was involved in creating this treasonous conspiracy against the American people, they all must be held accountable.
So again, if you're talking about all the Republicans in Congress that participated in a bipartisan investigation that confirmed that Russia interfered in the 2016 election, let's get at all those Republicans in Congress that did that. This is the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life, truly. But I feel like this is going to be the same thing it always is, right? Like, is this about Andrew Kleinsmith or Kevin, what's the guy's name? What's the Kleinsmith guy's name's first name? Sorry. Kevin. I said Andrew. Not Andrew. Kevin Kleinsmith, right? Like, who was held accountable, whether you like it or not. Like, if you don't know what I'm talking about, Kevin Kleinsmith was like, they were trying to get a FISA warrant, like, to put someone under surveillance, and Kevin Kleinsmith altered an email to seek a warrant, who was held accountable for that. And I think he was if I'm not mistaken, like in the Mueller report, he was prosecuted for it. But like, the reason I don't even care what happens to him. Like, but he had given the unedited email to other FBI agents. And I think that's why his punishment ultimately wasn't that bad, because they were like, well, if this was some sort of cover up or some weird thing to get a FISA warrant, why did he send the unedited version of it to other people in the FBI? Like, they're like, it's not like other people didn't have the actual version, which I don't know. Like, but he was held accountable in a court of law for whatever he did. And everything else they're talking about makes no effing sense. Like, and yeah, this is just like, I just need to say this. I cannot say this enough. Trump tried with the weird Biden auto pen, but he signed all the J6 pardons with auto pen, and no one gives a shit about that. So now he was mad at Tulsi for telling the truth and saying Trump's dragging us into World War III, and this is like her favor to him is making up some weird smokescreen that doesn't make any sense. None of this makes any sense. As someone who's read the Mueller report, and this is the thing, you're accusing Obama of doing something and obviously your own administration who agreed with everything that happened under Obama. So your own administration under your direction, you're also accusing of something. None of that makes any sense. I don't get it. I don't get how any of this makes sense, except for like, you need a big distraction of you're a creepy 3PDO who was friends with Epstein, like, allegedly. That's all that makes sense in this point. Like, and Tulsi, I don't know how you look yourself in the mirror, because none of this makes sense. And again, I just want to hear this from Jim Hines again.
Just statement of fact here. A bipartisan Senate Intelligence Committee investigation found that the U.S. intelligence community's assessment of Russian interference in the 2016 election was correct. They deemed it to be so on a bipartisan basis. I'm saying that because today and yesterday, the director of the intelligence community, Tulsi Gabbard, has said that she is referring for prosecution former American officials she accused of treasonous conspiracy, a years-long coup against President Trump, because they assessed Russia had tried.
Just want to be clear. So every single thing that Obama's intelligence community did was reinforced and supported not only in the Mueller report, which happened under Trump's intelligence community, but in the bipartisan Senate Judiciary report. They all found the same thing. But you would have to read to understand that. So I just want to clarify that not one thing Trump is saying has happened. I mean, unless you're going to put all of the sitting Congress people, the Republicans that keep voting for your bullshit to rob us and lie to us in jail, I don't know what you are implying has happened here. Like, none of that makes any sense to me. There was a separate investigation in the Senate, right? I'm not saying it was built off what Obama did or what Mueller did. I'm saying separately, they investigated all of this and came to the same exact conclusions.
To influence the election. This is weeks after the CIA director issued a report critiquing the tradecraft that went into that 2016 assessment. Is there any legal basis for any kind of prosecution here?
None. Absolutely none, Margaret. What you saw from the Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, was not just a lie, but a very dangerous lie, because when you start throwing around language like sedition and treason, somebody's going to get hurt. Now, you pointed out that the Senate committee, then led by Marco Rubio, a Republican and now Secretary of State, found unanimously that Russia meddled in the election to try to assist Donald Trump. John Durham, special counsel appointed by Donald Trump, investigated this, found that the Senate report was correct. Now, what Tulsi is doing, it's a little slight.
Trump's appointee. That's my point. I mean, I don't want to harp on this, but this is like the biggest reach of all time from Trump. Yeah, we don't know any of that is true. Oh, wait, I got to show you something funny because Trump's trying to like throw Obama under the bus. I need to show you something funny about it. That Brian Baez made a video on this, which made me cry laughing.
Y'all, Obama really committed treason. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, and I hate to be the one to come out here on these airwaves and hold myself to the highest standard, not only holding the opposition accountable, but I gotta hold the people that I love accountable too. The Trump administration just came out and said that they have definitive proof that Obama during his terms as president of the United States fucking committed treason. And they just dropped that fucking proof. Here's the definitive proof that the Obama administration.
All right. I just thought that's the most, and this sounds crazy, but you know, I'm into research. That's the most honest, like none of that makes any sense. If anything Tulsi Gabbard is saying makes sense to you, then you can't read and you have no idea what's been going on. Period. Like that was funny, right? That's why I love him. He's hilarious. But I never played this on Friday. I'm like, I don't even know how he got this picture of that letter at the end, but I want to also play this.
Trump was on a fucking warpath to kill the story about a salacious letter that he sent Jeffrey Epstein for his 50th birthday. The letter, bearing Trump's name, contains several lines of typewritten text framed by the outline of a naked woman, which appears to be hand-drawn with a heavy mark. A pair of small arcs denotes the woman's breasts, and the future president's signature is squiggly Donald below her waist, mimicking pubic hair. Inside the outline of the naked woman was a typewritten note styled as an imaginary conversation between Trump and Epstein, written in third person. Based on the Wall Street Journal's description, this is exactly what the shit would look like. In it, Donald Trump sets the scene, says, voiceover, there must be more to life than having everything. Donald says, yeah, there is, but I won't tell you what it is. Jeffrey then says, nor will I, since I also know what it is. Donald, we have certain things in common, Jeffrey. Jeffrey, yes, we do, come to think of it. Donald, enigmas never age. Have you noticed that? Jeffrey, as a matter of fact, it was clear to me the last time I saw you. Trump, a pal is a wonderful thing. Happy birthday, and may every day be another wonderful secret. When you put two and two together and see what Jeffrey Epstein was actually prosecuted for, and then have Donald Trump saying multiple times that they have a lot of things in common and that they have wonderful secrets together. The shit is fucking crazy. It gets funnier. JD Vance comes out and says, "Forgive my language, but this story is complete and utter bullshit." Where is the letter? Would you be shocked to learn they never showed it to us before publishing it? Here comes Donald Trump telling JD Vance to shut the fuck up because he's a fucking liar. In the Wall Street Journal and Rupert Murdoch, who by the way owns Fox News and the Wall Street Journal, personally were warned.
Again, what he's pointing out is what I was talking about on Friday, that like JD Vance told one lie and Trump told a different lie. They couldn't get their lies straight. JD Vance is like, "We never saw the letter." And like the Wall Street Journal is like, "We showed Trump the letter." And Trump's like, "Shut up, JD." Like that's because, and I explained this, like what happens is before you run a story like this, you contact the person and say, "Hey, we're going to run this story. Do you have anything to say? Do you have evidence you'd like to add?" Like that's how journalism works. You alert the person and say, "Is there anything like we need to know before, we're going to make this all public. We fact checked it. Our legals looked at it. Like, what do you think?" And JD Vance is like, "We never saw it." And Trump's like, "Shut the fuck up." Like, because he saw it.
Directly by President Donald J. Trump that the supposed letter they printed by President Trump to Epstein was fake. And if they print it, they will be sued. Clearly, Trump was shown the fucking letter ahead of time before they published it, which is why he says that they were directly told that it was a fake. Then Donald Trump Jr. got in the motherfucking picture and said, "My father has a very specific way of speaking." Couldn't have said enigma because it's not in his vocabulary.
I think the Washington Street Journal, it's a book that multiple people have access. I think it was made for Jeffrey Epstein's 50th birthday and multiple people have seen it and have access to it. And it's real. Like it's authenticated. And I know that because I love Brian Baz, but I don't think he understands how journalism works. That letter is real. I know that. I know it's been authenticated by multiple sources because I've taken journalism classes at university and I understand the legal implications of publishing something like that with not knowing it's real. Like that has been fact checked by it went through a whole legal department. That's real. It's real. Because now Trump is very much suing the Wall Street Journal. And for Rupert Murdoch to allow that to go out, they knew it was real. They know they can back it up. They know that other people had access to it. They've seen multiple people say, "Oh yeah, I've seen this book and it's real." If they couldn't, then they'd be sued within an inch of their lives. And to the point where they'd be out of business. It's real. 100%. There's no way. Trump claims, like, what was the recent thing with the New York Times? And Trump's like, "It's not real." And they're like, "Oh, it's real." Because now, especially look how litigious Trump is. Trump sues people for things he's guilty of anyways, just for appearance. Like believe if you understand how journalism works, like that went through 100 lawyers, 100 journalists, all the editors. They looked at every source. They double checked. They fact checked. Went through the Association of Fact Checkers. It is real. Don't worry about it. It's 100% real. To put that out and it's not real, your life would be over. It's real. There's no doubt about that. Oh, yeah. Okay. So here, okay. I was like, where is this? I couldn't find the clip earlier. This is what I was trying to tell you. Okay. So earlier I played a short clip of KK Caroline Leavitt talking about, a reporter was asking her like, "Hey, there's senators are saying that they have proof that the FBI is going through and flagging every time your name is in the Epstein files, not to publish it, but so Trump knows what his exposure is." And Caroline Leavitt's like, "I know what you're talking about" today when she was asked in a press conference. This is what they are talking about.
We are now learning that the FBI was ordered to flag every time Donald Trump's name was mentioned as part of the Epstein files, a Democratic-led investigation involving witnesses inside the FBI and other whistleblowers is turning up that they were specifically ordered at the FBI to look for Donald Trump's name, flag it, and bring it right to the attention of FBI Director Kash Patel, Dan Bongino, and Pam Bondi. And this was right around the time that they came up with the first excuse that the Epstein files didn't exist and there was no list. And then Donald Trump said it was all a hoax, folks. Democratic Senator Dick Durbin writes the following: MAGA world right now is completely imploding over the Epstein cover-up. The FBI was told to flag any file mentioning Donald Trump. Why? We need some real answers. And so the Democrats in the Senate, led by Dick Durbin, is doing a very good job on this issue, sent a letter to Pam Bondi about the cover-up right now, about this directive to FBI agents to make sure they brought to the attention of Kash Patel and of Pam Bondi anytime Donald Trump's name was mentioned in the files. We know Donald Trump's name is going to be in the files because Donald Trump has a history with Epstein that I've outlined in multiple videos. Donald Trump's all over the files that have been released. Of course, he's going to be in the files that have not been released. Over 300 gigabytes of files have not been released. We are now
Just to be clear, it's not to release the files, right? When Trump's saying pertinent evidence, they're combing through all the files. And I don't know, are they going to release all his? Why would they say? Why would you instruct the FBI to find all the mentions of Trump's name? Just release them. We know for a fact, 100%, senators have access to information that Trump has asked people to comb through the files and find all the mentions of his name. Now, is he going to? Now we're going to release pertinent information? This man is a creep. Now, and I just, just for the sake of memory, I just thought, we should all remember this time when this happened.
Right now, Sam Holvey. She's a former Miss USA contestant. She says Donald Trump personally inspected each woman prior to the 2006 contest. So, Sam, look, you talked about this personal inspection, and you said it was the dirtiest you felt in your entire life. Tell me exactly what happened. What did he do?
So we were at Trump Towers doing the media tour in New York City, and so he lined all 51 of us up, and I thought it was going to be, hi, how are you, nice to meet you, that type of kind of meet and greet thing. Mm-hmm. It was not. It was him going down and one by one looking us over like we were pieces of meat, and he was trying to decide which, piece of meat he wanted. And I was hoping, that would be the end, that I wouldn't have to deal with him anymore. And so then on finals night, when I'm sitting in hair and makeup, getting ready in just my robe, and he comes walking backstage, and I'm so startled, like, what are you doing back here? We're a bunch of women getting ready for a beauty pageant that we've been working towards, Miss USA. Yeah, exactly. Like, why are you back here? And then I saw him walk into the dressing room, just like he has bragged about on Howard Stern, and the audio is out there for anybody and everybody to hear. He brags about this. It's not that I'm accusing him. I'm simply verifying what he himself has said.
So when you hear...
I say, for MAGA whose brains don't work, because I know some of you get it now. I want to believe some of you, your brains are working now and you get it. But for MAGA, those of you who still are in cognitive dissonance and you can't follow a line of logic, she just said it perfectly. E. Jean Carroll was not accusing Trump of anything. She was confirming what he had said. That's all. What Trump has admitted to on tape, what I played on Friday, all E. Jean Carroll was doing was saying, hey, you know what Trump confessed to and laughed about? Yeah, exactly what he said was his, as we say in Latin, MAGA, you can't even read English, so Latin will be beyond you, but his modus operandi that he confessed to, that is exactly what happened to me. So let's just hear it, because I think that's really apropos, another word you guys have no idea what it means, but no one's accusing Trump. We're just we're just saying what Trump said, how Trump said he assaults women. I'm just confirming that's how he violated me. That's all she said. And I think that's fair. And that's all E. Jean Carroll ever
And
did.
he comes walking backstage, and I'm so startled, like, what are you doing back here? We're a bunch of women getting ready for a beauty pageant that we've been working towards, you know, Miss USA. Yeah, exactly. Like, why are you back here? And then I saw him walk into the dressing room, just like he has bragged about on Howard Stern, and the audio is out there for anybody and everybody to hear. He brags about this. It's not that I'm accusing him. I'm simply verifying what he himself has said.
So when you hear Sarah Sanders today coming out of the White House, right, highest ranking woman there, saying this White House has empathy